Good evening. I'll call to order this work session, June 17th, 2025. The time is now 4:11 p.m. Looks like item number 2 here is our work session topics, review and presentation of draft Effingham County Master Transportation Plan. Turn it over to you, Jonathan.
All right. Yep. Jonathan Holm, County Engineer for Effingham. Wanted to just briefly go over the draft of the Transportation Master Plan with y'all and get just some comments. Not really a formal structure here. Next time we see this, we'll want to incorporate any of the changes that you guys want, here, and then hopefully once we present this, it'll be, pretty smooth. But certainly want to, make sure you guys are in agreement, or, just open it up for recommendations. And then with me, I've got Richard Fengman from Pond, and he's been instrumental in writing this. Pond's helped us out with this, and I've also got Rob McCall with Thompson Hutton on the program management side as well. So if I don't know it, they do.
6 lanes, egress in the county the whole way, bridges.
That's right.
Got it. Appreciate it.
That's right.
Appreciate it. You just saved me a lot of emails.
So without further ado, I'm just going to start flipping through this.
Jonathan, if I can add one thing to it. So when we did the first Transportation Master Plan, which was 3 years ago, where we really, the one previous to that was like 15 years before that. And so we really had to start from scratch and then kind of getting everything cobbled together into a document. There was a lot of stuff that was missed. And so I think with each of these master plans that we have, the first update is going to be the most valuable version of it. And so there are a lot of key changes in this, because not only do we miss stuff on the first time, but you'll see that within a 3-year period of time, what we're planning to do on roads is night and day. And so this, I think, finally have a complete document that incorporates it all. Yeah,
and just as a blanket statement, I mean, this is kind of a plan to help guide the county, to help, make decisions on, new roads and, or what roads need key intersection improvements, and kind of help us, make a wiser decision or a more informed decision with some data and some thoughts behind it. And this isn't necessarily something that's binding, though, either. If there's a prioritization list that we have for intersections and for roads and stuff like that, and should, for whatever reason, something needs to be moved up, that we have the flexibility to change it. But it is an attempt to, kind of be a guide to help the county with a plan that is going to help, develop the area in a responsible way. So
how much does this differentiate from our previous?
I mean, to Tim's point, I mean, we've, it's improved it substantially. And I think it is warranted just with the amount of, new growth and development that's happened really in the last 3 years.
And the projects we've done in the last.
Yeah, I'd like to see like our previous and kind of see what the checkoff list is, the things we've done just as a public.
Well, I can bring up, we actually just had strategic planning meetings on that, and that's one thing that under all infrastructure projects that we want to do on an annual basis is give a status report on the master plan. Yeah. To let you know what we got done, what we're currently working on, and what we got planned for the next year. So, because even this has a bunch of stuff we checked off on it, right? Because we got a lot done since we've started the update. So.
Okay, so this is table of contents. I'm going to use it just kind of overview, and we don't really have a whole lot of time to go through everything, but I think we can jump to maybe some of the key items in here that I think would be worthwhile And we can certainly, circle back, or if we need to, do this again, we can, or, if you have any questions, we can, hop back to any topics. But there's an introduction, there's a needs assessment that's done in here in chapter 2, and we get through relative studies. There's demographics in here, anticipated developments, ongoing and upcoming projects, roadway inventory, there's traffic congestion, there's safety analysis that's done in here, and multimodal needs as far as like trucks and whatnot. And then once you get into chapter 3, there's project identification, and this is where we start looking at intersection improvements, and then also network improvements as far as road widening and et cetera, or even just new roads that need to be considered potentially. And then moving on down to chapter 4, there's the project recommendation, and this is where we start kind of getting into prioritization of the different capital improvement projects that were identified in the previous chapter. And there's even some funding that is put together, which I'm excited about, because kind of as a current snapshot of all these different types of projects and how much we're anticipating construction to cost, and engineering and construction management, right-of-way, utilities. But we can get into that a little bit more. And then there's a design or a policy guideline in Appendix A, where we start to get into different details in the sense of design standards for different types of roads, or even access management, and then different things to consider as far as expanding the road network. And then in Appendix B, it's just relative studies. So this is all the studies that help kind of put all that together, the information in the very front. And then there's Appendix C, that's just more detailed data on the implementation plan, where we get a little bit more granular, which I know you guys are excited about. And then we have a pavement management plan, which is all about the resurfacing and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, I would like us to spend a little bit of time more so on the project identification, and maybe the freight route network, if y'all are okay with that. Sure. Unless you really want to get into the upfront data, which we can do. I think it's fascinating, but that's just me. So I'm going to flip through this. This is just data, roadway inventory, level of service. Okay, that's the projected growth. Those are all the different monitoring stations that GDOT did for us. Thank you, GDOT. Level of service, keep going. In here it talks about level of service, everything from A being excellent to F being it's awful. Current projection, I'm gonna keep going. And then it does have a no-build scenario in here, where if we don't do anything, so it kind of, shows why we need to do these intersection improvements for all the different intersections. So I'm going to keep going, though, because I want to get to the...
Jonathan, we're still using that same company that updates our roads every year or every so often? Or are we doing
You're talking about the pavement analysis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're actually going to... We're looking at a different company, but what we're going to do is wait until, we've got a ton of roads within the next 6 months or 8 months, and so we're going to wait till we get those done, and then we're going to have it reanalyzed. Because we would have had like 70 or 80 miles of roads resurfaced since then.
Did the other company just not perform, or?
No, I just think it's, we look at the, kind of what the overall product is, and I think we want to look to see if we can get something that's cloud-based because they gave us everything that's kind of in a spreadsheet. And I don't know if it's out there or not, but if it is, and where, you know, we can just log in and get access to these individual roads and the videos of them, you know, without having that kind of clunky spreadsheet, I think it would be better.
Yeah.
That's right, and I think we're looking to see what Chatham County did. I know Rob McCall, he's been helping me with that as far as their pavement analysis and trying to see what other municipalities are using as well, just to get an idea. And I'm kind of curious what OpenGov has as far as like asset management and tracking and all that kind of stuff. That way we can see or update, you know, status of a road and, you know, how many years are left on it. But what I have up in front of us is the existing freight route networks, with the exception of what we just passed maybe a few months ago, to include Blue Jay Road and Sand Hill, and then also it included McCall Road. But previously, oh, and it did have Old Augusta Road, excuse me. But generally speaking, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of freight route that were county other than Old Augusta Road. It was mainly, you know, your US highways. You had 119, 21, 17, 30, I-16 obviously, and Highway 80. And so there's our freight route, or our truck chart that you guys are familiar with, I hope, at this point. And then I want to get to the proposed map. Which, hold on a second, I'm almost there. Okay, so that's the road project, and then this is the freight route. Okay, so here we go. So the cyan, or, you know, green almost colored roads are the proposed freight route routes, and then the dark blue is the existing. You know, some roads to note, at the time this was, you know, we're doing this, we hadn't passed Blue Jay yet, we hadn't passed Sand Hill Road, and we hadn't included McCall Road yet either. One thing to note is that this does show new roads that were identified. I probably maybe should have started back there, but that's okay. I think this is worth spending a little bit more time on. Is it has new roads on here as well, like the extension of Effingham Parkway. You know, obviously that's not here yet today. Right now, Effingham Parkway's tying into Blue Jay Road down to you know, Highway 30 in Chatham County, and then we have this extension over here over the Ageechee, which it's not there today, but the intent would be that when it gets built, if it gets built, that it'd be to freight route standards. We do have on here, this road right here where my hand's at is Gateway Parkway. And we do have Old Augusta Road and Long Bridge Road continuing up. And then this is Stillwell Clio. We have it going all the way up, and then as a bypass it goes on to 4th Street to go around Clio. That way you don't have freight route or, you know, trucks going through Clio. And the idea of all this is really trucks are, you know, already using these routes, and so the idea is, you know, let's go ahead. If they're already using them, then, you know, maybe we should go ahead and improve it. That way the road just isn't getting, you know, obliterated.
And I think the key thing is that some of these roads are not going to necessarily get designated as truck routes, but we are going to improve them so they can handle the freight that's already on them. And so, because we have to formally designate something with GDOT to be a locally owned truck route in order to be on that standard. But some of these roads, and Stilwell Clio is a perfect example, it gets truck traffic on there. We don't want to declare it to be a truck route, right? But if we're going to resurface it, we want to resurface it with a level of pavement that can handle the weight that's currently on it. And maybe Clio Kildare also on that as well. So, and I did notice some things that when, like on McCall, we show some portions of McCall that are going to be removed once Effingham Parkway is open. And so, this is kind of a little bit of a living document.
I'm trying to think any other things of note. Got Ron Station on here. There's the CERN, or the, new road that's going through
East-West corridor.
East-West corridor, that's right, through city limits of Rinkin.
So, Tim, backing up to what you just said, you're looking at moving that section of McCall from the railroad tracks back to 21.
Yeah, so that's the goal, is that when Effingham Parkway opens, anything south of Blue Jay on McCall will be removed from the truck route system.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Project
Well,
list.
hearing no comments, I'm going to keep moving. I'll flip over to the proposed road projects. This looks similar to the other one, but these are just road improvement projects, and I guess I'm just going to start from the south and I'll work my way up through the county. But you have Old River Road. Part of the idea here is to realign Old River Road to this Jabez Jones extension in 25, and that will help facilitate traffic that's going to the Hyundai plant a little bit more efficiently.
It'll just save so much time to go down to 80 and turn back up.
That's right. So providing that connectivity there, I think it makes sense. And we do have in the core MPO, Kimley Horn, they're looking at, the traffic volumes for Jabez Jones with the expansion of Highway 80 and also Old River Road realigning. So we do have some studies currently going underway to help support that. Those are two things of note. You have this N19, the bridge over the Ageechee to connect to 280. That's something that we'll need to find funding for sure if we're gonna do that. But I mean, again, that's another connectivity project that would help traffic to get over to Bryan County or Hyundai. Instead of having to go down, Sand Hill to 80, it could just extend off of, Blue Jay Road. You do have Low Ground Road extension from Low Ground Road just past Midland. It cuts across to Highway 17 and 15. This N2 road for Blue Jay, that's the widening that is under construction right now. And then we are going to look to do shoulder widening. So some of this stuff we've already have started to move on. And then the N4, that's the low ground road improvements that's currently under design. Atlas is doing that. Hoping to, get right away going as soon as possible and, get that obviously repaired. I know that road gets a lot of attention. Needs a lot of attention. And then you also have, Old Augusta Road. I'm going to hop over here. 4-laning Old Augusta Road up to Logistics Parkway is that N21. Then you also have some road improvements on N7 going to the north up to Chimney. That's right. Yep. Other things to note, you've got Goshen Road widening. That is currently wrapping up design. Right-of-way acquisition's underway on that one. We're excited about getting that done. You also have Gateway Parkway. Half of that's already been built, and then we're working to get the other half west of Effingham Parkway built now.
Is there any kind of timeline on that one, Jonathan, to get us connected to Hodgeville?
Yeah, the idea is to have that online before school starts next year.
Oh, really? Okay.
So right now it's out to bid, but we're working through some right-of-way acquisition as well to make sure we get all that secured, but August next year.
Should be all the same person for that, wouldn't it?
The contractor, yes, sir, yeah.
Or no, for the right-of-way acquisition?
We're,
IDA related or?
yeah, it's IDA related, so we're working with the IDA to get that ironed out.
Let's go ahead and finalize it right now.
Other things to note, there's N12, which I think GDOT's actually doing this one. They're looking into creating like a little bypass for Springfield. I know Springfield gets a lot of truck traffic through it, and so we have it in our plan identifying that this would be a great bypass.
Push it to that second red light and cut over or something?
It's going to cut. You got 119 from Clio down to Springfield, and then you have the old Tusculum Road or that 119 spur.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a new road that is going to either go under the rail or go over. I think it would be under, but I don't know. Depending on where they put it, it's going to connect to 21. And so I was actually talking with GDOT about that the other day, and so it sounds like they're actually moving forward with it. So that's exciting.
But we're not going through Kiefer Hill Road, though. That would be right when 119 splits.
Let me see. Hold on a second. Get my bearings. Let me turn. I think to answer your question, the exact location of this is still being decided. They haven't decided exactly where that bypass is going. Today, there's you have the old Tusculum Road, but I don't know if they're gonna try to come, do some new alignment up here, or if they're going to, try to do something, on Kiefer Hill Road. To your point, Mr. Jamie, I don't know. But GDOT, they're in the process of figuring out.
So what do you think the timeline
I don't think it was
is
that
on
high. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So what's the timeline on that? Because that's going to be hell for District 3 Commissioner.
Yeah, that's a great.
I didn't think that would ever get legs.
I'll need to circle back with GDOT to see what the exact timeline. I know on GeoPie when we were looking, I think it's like 2050 or something like that was what it was, but
Okay. All right. So we're not talking about we're about to move stakes out there and stuff like that.
No.
Okay. All right.
no.
I think it's south
My
of
blood
the
pressure's
school.
going down now.
Yeah, it's probably south of the school is what I would think, but yeah, to Tim's point, but.
Just south of the fire station, basically, kinda,
potentially. But GDOT, they're looking at that. They're helping us out on that.
I know this issue is on top of Springfield's list
to get done
every year,
That's right.
because trucks can't get under that railroad.
Right. Yeah, and I was encouraged that they were looking at it. I mean, so that's great.
There's been a lot of log trucks that's been hit over bad.
Other than that, there's the Effingham Parkway extension again. I'll mention that again, from Blue Jay Road all the way up to 119, and then also up to 21. But
N30, I just mentioned that really quick. There's been a discussion on particularly using Shawnee, Egypt to get between 21 and 17 and that curve that comes right before you get to 17. It's not,
Approved Fair Road.
it's a chip seal road and it's partially paved, but that's Egypt Ardmore was the thought of improving that road. It's a direct shot, and saving folks from having to go through the middle of the, or having to deal with that turn at Egypt.
okay. Well, any other questions or comments, I guess, on just the proposed road network, as far as new roads or?
I'm gonna look it over, get back with you.
Okay.
That's a question I get asked a lot is, are we going to come up with any new roads, you know, in the future? Because, I mean, Parkway's taken a while and, you know, people say, you know, hey, we appreciate the resurfacing, but with the amount of folks we have, is there going to be new roadways in the future?
Yeah, I mean, the ones to note are the Low Ground Road connector, and then the Old River Road realignment, and Jabez Jones extension. Those are some big ones. The East-West Road, yep, that's right, through Rinkin is one of significance as well. And then Effingham Parkway extension is another. And then obviously Gateway Parkway, which half of it's already built, but once we get it connected to Hodgeville, that will be utilized by the public.
So how does the, I guess, expansion of I-16 coming through? I read an article on that last week. I mean, does that do much for us or not really?
I think it does. You know, I know I-16's a small sliver, you know, compared to, you know, it's way down on the southern corner for the county, but I went to the open house for the county on that, and they're generally just, you know, adding the additional third lane.
Gets them there faster.
That's right. It creates more of a corridor for folks to fly through, which is what you want on the arterial road. So.
Plus, I think the widening of US 80 is a key component because that widening, we're partnering. We're responsible for where it turns into 2 lanes at the Chatham border to the Ogeechee River. But then simultaneously, GDOT is doing their own study from the Ogeechee River, essentially all the way to I-16. And so that widening just through Effingham County would make a huge difference of 4-laning that and doing a parallel bridge across the Ogeechee, so it's 4-lane essentially all the way, all the way up to at least to the Hyundai plant or to 280. So that one I think is going to be a key one in dealing with the I-16 widening, because if we get a better road coming off of Old River Road, we have a direct shot up to 17 and 30 with that Jabez Jones connector, and some more capacity on Sand Hill. I think we'll be a little bit more ahead of the game than we've been in the past.
What's, I guess the most recent update on CERN, the Southeast Road Network? I think it'll have the biggest impact on 21 through Rankin South.
Yeah, so right now we're working on a MOU with City of Rankin to kind of help, the two entities come together to partner to get this thing off the ground, and they were definitely open to that. So
Yeah.
need to draft that up and get that rolling, and then we need to get a engineer on board to help us start facilitating that.
So the idea was it's one contract, one design contract, for both the Rinkin and our section, and they just pay the pro rata share.
What about the Old Augusta Road, roundabouts and all that?
Yeah, so that's my next point, is the roundabouts, and we can actually just jump right into it. We'll circle back to the whole county, but let's talk Old Augusta Road and the roundabouts. So there's several intersections on here identified specifically for Old Augusta Road, from Chimney Road all the way down to 21. And it takes a second to digest it because there's a lot of different improvements identified, but you have a legend up here, so it'll kind of help. So the circle with no lines in it is a single lane, and then you have a multi-lane roundabout with the black lines in there. And so there's a roundabout. Kimley Horn is on board with the county, and you guys actually approved the design change order to get it all the way to completion for construction drawings for phase 1 and phase 2. And phase 1 is the Logistics Parkway extension roundabout where it ties in, which would be this I-67 roundabout, I believe. And they we're front loading that just due to there's a warehouse that is right there, and we've entered into a MOU with them, and they're helping to contribute to fund the roundabout. So that roundabout got prioritized, but we do have the 4 laning of Old Augusta Road, from Logistics Parkway down to 21. And also we do have under construction right now on I-65, we have a multi-lane roundabout identified here in the master transportation plan, and that's what it will be, but the developer's helping fund a single lane roundabout, and then we'll come back and expand it to a multi-lane once we do the
Which one?
widening. It's I-65.
It's General Way.
General
is the
Way,
intersection.
that's right.
Okay.
I think Greenland Developers is the developer that's helping us with that, and C.W. Matthews is the contractor.
So are we doing the roundabouts first or the 4 laning first, or kind of a mix of both?
So the I-65 and really even the I-67, they got front loaded because we had partnership with the developers to, and so we're trying to be in line with development that's going on. So we front loaded those 2, and then the 4 laning is going to come right behind those, which will also include I-66, which gets a roundabout, and I forget where that's at.
That's in front of Estes.
It's
Yeah, so you
Estes,
got
that's
Cowan,
right.
Exeter, and Estes, or
That's right. And then
Chesterfield's after, yeah.
we'll be expanding that other roundabout that Greenland's doing to a multi-lane at that time as well. So it's like 1.5 roundabouts. And then in phase 3, the Chimney single lane roundabout is gonna be a part of that phase 3. So that one will come at the very end.
Any timeline? roughly?
I had a whole timeline. I'll need to pull up my notes, but
That old Augusta's got busy, boy.
want to say, construction for the, well, 65 is already under construction, at least a single lane. I want to say they're getting complete, within a year from now. And then, this I-67, it'll be complete by, January of '27. So that's when that's anticipated to be complete. And then, as far as the remainder, I'll have to dig into my notes. I don't want to bog us down, but, I'll circle back with the timelines. I believe it would be 2028, or maybe mid-29 if I had to guess, but.
Are we still looking at doing a connector from Effingham Industrial Park to Old Augusta as well?
Connector, say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Effingham Industrial Park,
Park of Commerce.
Park of Commerce, sorry.
Yeah, you have a little intersection there. We are, but it's dependent on, we're gonna be using the industrial special tax district funds for that. And so, if we can get a traffic light at, which it sounds like we might be able to get at, the entrance, then that will resolve, some of the safety issues there. But we've got a lot of uses for that money, including resurfacing the park, resurfacing Goshen, and that's even contributing to that. So it is a project on the list, but it's dependent on how quickly the funds come in.
So that's a light at the park entrance.
On 21, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so they're talking about, because they're now looking a C-store gas station, is looking at going, there. They've
Across
submitted
the road.
plans to us, that, they feel they'll get the warrant, for that light. We've already talked to them about, putting a right lane, right out only restriction on that. And if that traffic light's gonna take a while, so they're supposed to be getting back to us on it, but that was a conversation we had with them.
Yeah, even if we get that light, we can still do the ride out only for a little while, I suppose, to make it safer.
If we get the traffic light, I don't think they're gonna do the right out only.
I don't think they will. That could be,
But
gosh,
if
years.
the traffic light takes time,
Yeah,
and we're willing to pay for it, like the traffic light's gonna, take, a year and a half, then I think at that point, then the county may step in and just do a right lane out of there.
Why
If
don't
we
we
get
go ahead and-
GDOT's
I
approval.
thought we were already working on that already.
Yeah.
Like,
We are.
yeah.
But they haven't given us a firm yes or no. We put the request into them. And so, again, if there's gonna be a long delay, we're just gonna say, hey, if we're willing to pay for that curb there,
wouldn't
and you
take
can
much.
rip it out when the light goes in.
That's a low-cost way to get a lot of safety right there.
Sure.
A lot of blocking
But the request is in with them.
Circling back, no pun intended, to,
See what you did there. That's
yeah,
clever.
that's right,
Clever.
that's right,
Like
you
it.
know what's coming. I can't remember, I should know this number. Richard, do you know how many roundabouts we have in this thing that are planned?
Oh, wow.
I know, sorry to put you on the spot. I know, it's gotta be, what, 20?
I would think it's at least 20.
There's a lot of roundabouts. There's a lot of roundabouts, so, I'm gonna just start listing them all out there, and we can tell me to be quiet, at any point. That's right, and one of the key things about roundabouts that are great is, it does make the intersection a little safer, as far as like the number of fatalities, and it's lower maintenance for the county in the long run. It does cost a little bit up front, and you do get more accidents, but they're not as fatal, so, they are proven to be a little safer than lights. So anyway, we've got roundabouts, all up and down Blue Jay, from Sand Hill, which is already under design. Sand Hill Blue Jay, we got, Midland Blue Jay, which is under right-of-way acquisition right now. this I-28 is Hodgeville, oh, no, well,
That's Hodgeville.
yeah, that is Hodgeville. I'm sorry, I'm getting backwards. But there is a roundabout there. It's under construction. There's not a roundabout shown here, but there is one there with Effingham Parkway. There's a roundabout at McCall and Blue Jay, and then we've got, you know, roundabouts planned for the east-west corridor. On McCall, we've got it identified here. I think that's low ground. Yep, that's right. And then we also got one on Ron Station and Little McCall. There will be a realignment there. I didn't mention that earlier. There's also the several roundabouts that we just discussed on Old Augusta Road. You've got obviously the roundabouts at Collickimley and Goshen that we just awarded. And then there is a roundabout at Gateway and Hodgeville, although to start with, we're gonna do a T intersection, but we're getting enough right of way so that we can build a roundabout
I wasn't aware of that one.
when the time comes for that. So that'll be great. We'll have the right of way to
Right.
execute that.
Kind of wait till that gets in with the T and see what traffic patterns
That's right.
present.
And, you know,
themselves.
try not to just
Don't
do
spend it unless we need it.
That's right. We're trying not to do roundabouts all over this map, contrary to belief.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I know, but we do have some, you know, we're trying to hold back a little bit, but, anyways, so there's,
The kids look, Big Ben's getting old.
that's right. There's more roundabouts on here.
DDS needs to incorporate roundabouts in their driver's license tests.
Yeah.
It's kind, well, they're gonna have
You gotta start when
plenty.
they're young,
Bunch of-
educating.
That's right.
NASCAR driver there making left turns all the time.
That's right. I'm excited for, this generation coming up to be able to be the masters of roundabouts. Unfortunately, this, you know, generation, you know, I don't know if we'll get there, but anyway, it's exciting. There's a lot of, good improvements that are identified in this plan, and there's more intersection improvements, other than just roundabouts, but, I won't go through them all. But the punchline is, when in doubt, roundabout.
That was a
So,
bad- that was
there
a
we go.
bad joke.
Just kidding. Okay, all right, that landed really good. Okay.
I didn't want to laugh at it, but I did.
It's okay. It'll come around. Okay. Happy
Yeah,
Father's Day,
you're on
by
top
the
of
way.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there it
Let's
is.
circle back that a little
Yeah,
bit.
it'll come around, don't worry. So, other than that, I'm trying to think, we did do a lot of good work, on, and this is a marked up version on here, but, we did a lot of good work, in my opinion, on trying to establish, typical sections of different, road classifications, versus before, the county ordinance right now, we just specify, you know, local, collector, and arterial. We're kind of getting into the weeds here, which I know you guys are excited about, with urban and local versions of those. And then not only that, but I'm excited that we have low volume road standards for like dirt roads or like a chip seal road. And the idea here is we're gonna be putting some ADT or volume associated with these road classifications. So that way, when, you know, a road gets to a certain volume, we know that, hey, we need to improve this road to have wider lanes or bigger shoulders and, you know, kind of be a, you know, a tool in the county's belt loop to, you know, help facilitate, you know, these kind of improvements and know when to do it. So anyway, I'm excited about that. That's a shameless plug. But other than that, there's more we could talk about. We did go through and have a prioritization list. With the limited amount of time that I have, I probably don't need to start that. So if you guys have any other questions, you know, I know it's a lot.
Does this contemplate the widening of, the proposed widening of 21 from GDOT or?
This traffic, or this, transportation master plan, I wanna say that.
It does
we
because it
identified
incorporates the Coastal Empire Plan.
Okay.
into
That's
it.
right.
I only asked because of the Silverwood thing. I want to make
Right.
sure
Yeah.
that.
And I'm getting notices already about engineering on that, so it's happening.
Yeah, they're doing the concept plan right now, so.
Mhm.
They are, and we're working with GDOT. They've asked, for any kind of information that we have, and we've shared this, draft version of this already with them and trying to work with GDOT and help facilitating the widening of 21 as well, so. Do we want to have another workshop?
Is there more you want to tell us?
I mean, there's always more. If I can always,
for
Or
like
need to tell us,
feedback.
I guess I should say.
yeah, for feedback, or do
And I
you,
don't see why we couldn't incorporate it into one of our additional workshops as an
Just kind of a
line item.
follow-up,
Yeah,
like a-
follow-up, yeah.
yeah, we can go through, I mean, we hit some of the highlights. I'd say the thing of note might be the cost of some of these projects,
Yeah.
that we're expecting, and just so you guys can be somewhat aware of, that. So we'll plan to do another workshop, in July, and then, from there, we can maybe adopt this. And again, it's a living document, so we can amend it and, change it, so it's not like we're stuck with this, so. Okay, well, very good. Well, I appreciate y'all's time.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for letting me talk to y'all this time.
I'm just gonna do the same thing. Yeah. All right. Take about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
To the next meeting?
Perfect. Steph, y'all good? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Effingham County Board of Commissioners regular meeting agenda, June 17th, 2025. Time is now 5:06 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Floyd?
Here.
Commissioner Burdette?
Here.
Chairman Ron?
Here.
Commissioner Deloach?
Here.
Commissioner Helmley is not present. Commissioner Kiefer?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Kiefer, you mind leading us in the pledge? I'm sorry, our invocation. Let's skip
We
it, our
have-
invocation.
We have someone
We
for the
do have someone?
invocation
Perfect.
tonight. Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Okay, so returning to us tonight, offering the invocation is Reverend Lon Harden, pastor of the Macedonian Missionary Baptist Church in Guyton and IDA board member. Tonight, we are also recognizing Pastor Harden as the recipient of the 2025 John Adam Trutland Award, presented by the Chamber of Commerce this past Thursday at the Chamber Annual Meeting event. This is the Chamber's highest honor. It is named for Georgia's first elected governor, John Adam Trutland, who settled in this area after migrating from Germany. The award honors public servants and civic leaders who embody integrity, leadership, strong character, and commitment to service in our community. For decades, Reverend Harden has humbly dedicated himself to building stronger communities through faith, honor, and action. He spent over 30 years at Signature Flight Support in Savannah, serving as a duty manager and later representing the company globally as an ambassador. He served honorably in the U.S. Marine Corps, where he was chosen as a religious lay leader for his fellow service members. Reverend Harden currently serves as a board member of the Industrial Development Authority. He has also served on the Guyton Planning and Zoning Board. He lends his voice as a chaplain for Effingham Health System and serves as a board member for the Effingham Health Foundation. His public service includes longstanding leadership with the Martin Luther King Jr. Observance Committee of Effingham, where he served as president for 14 years and was graced with the honor of acting as MLK Day Parade Grand Marshal. He is also the chaplain for Widow's Son Masonic Lodge number 396 and offers compassionate support through his work with the Effingham County Victim Witness Assistance Program. He stood in hospital rooms, meeting chambers, sanctuaries, and personal moments alike, offering wisdom, comfort, and faith-rooted leadership. In recognition of his extraordinary leadership legacy of public service and community impact, Reverend Lon Maurice Harden is honored in conjunction with this award through a House resolution of the 158th General Assembly, a fitting tribute to a life of impact. Everyone, please join me in recognizing and congratulating the 2025 recipient of the John Adams Trutland Award, Reverend Lon Harden.
Well deserved.
Thank you very much. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this commission. We ask that you bless each and every commissioner in their districts, bless our chairman, bless every citizen of Effingham County. Continuously be in our hearts and mind and our thoughts as we continuously do your will. And God bless Effingham, God bless America. In Jesus' name we all do pray. Amen.
Amen.
And Pastor Harden and board members, if you will, before we move forward, if you could get a picture with Pastor Harden, please.
I'd like to have my wife stand with me.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Come in the middle.
Would now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance.
All right, moving on to item number 5, agenda approval. Consideration of a resolution to approve the agenda. There's no changes or notes. I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 6 is minutes. Consideration to approve the June 3rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
I'll be abstaining from that vote. I wasn't here for that meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Noted Commissioner Floyd's absence. All right. Item number 7, public comments. Comments shall pertain to agenda items only. Should you wish to make remarks, clearly state your full name into the microphone before commencing to speak. Item number 8, correspondence. The agenda packet for this meeting is posted on the county's website. Any additional documentation presented at the meeting shall be submitted to the clerk for receipt, recording, and distribution to the board. Moving on to item number 9, I've invited Brant Herden, our CEO of the IDA, Industrial Development Authority, to come in and speak. Mr. Herndon, stage is yours, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. Well, thank y'all very much for having myself, and also Jessica Hood's also going to join me here in just a minute, give just a short presentation on what's going on over at the IDA. So I just want to give you a little bit of overview about our structure, mission, programming, our successes, and some of the impacts that we're having hopefully on the economy here. So let me start off by, okay, you got the PowerPoint up, who we are. Of course, I know everybody here knows who we are in our board, but for the general public, I just want to make sure that I always want to recognize the board, especially while some are here. So we have 8 board members, 5 are appointed by the Board of Commissioners, 1 by the City of Lincoln, 1 by Springfield, and 1 by Guyton. So my chairman's Matt Saxon, who's appointed by the county. Vice Chair Slade Helmy, who's here, also appointed by the county. Secretary Treasurer, the famous Lon Harden, the City of Guyton. Eric Johnson, who's also here, Board of Commissioners. Swade Ron, Board of Commissioners. Tricia Boyette, who is appointed by the City of Lincoln. Jake Patrick by the Board of Commissioners, and Justin Cribbs by City of Springfield.
You can control.
Yeah, is it?
It's not up.
Yeah, it's not a.
Yeah, it's not up on the screen. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll do it for you, no problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
next slide.
There we go. We'll wing it. All right, so what we do. So we got 6 areas of focus, and of course, it's industrial retention and attraction. Everybody understands and what development authorities do, but there's also some other interests that we do. And so I'm going to jump into partnership and product development, but Jessica handles workforce development and marketing. So let me turn that over to her, let her talk about that, and then I'll jump back in on some partnerships.
Next slide. All right, so as more and more workers retire and fewer younger folks move into the labor force, workforce availability remains a top priority and concern for many existing industries and the new industries that we're working to attract, as well as you guys, any local business. So the ECIDA, Effingham County IDA, is working diligently on a variety of workforce solutions within the community and the region. One such solution, which hopefully is highlighted here, yes, great, is the Workforce PhD program. Hopefully you all have seen that. That's a program that's been going on for about 4 years. Essentially, it is a 4-day boot camp of sorts where we work with high school seniors that are graduating soon and haven't decided to go to college or what kind of career they want to pursue when they graduate. And so we work in partnership with the Effingham College and Career Academy, as well as Savannah Tech and local industry partners, to host this program to help the students build their resume, become comfortable with interviewing, financial literacy items, as well as industry tours so that they can get a behind-the-scenes look at what it looks like to work for an existing industry, should they choose to do so when they graduate. And so through this program to date, we've been able to work with over 100 seniors in Effingham County, and we've awarded 12 $500 scholarships each, well, 4 to 5 each year, but 12 total, in partnership with the Brandon Davis Memorial Fund. Workforce PhD is just one of our broader programs that we work on, and it's one that we like to highlight because it's kind of a showpiece in the region for a best practice. But we also support career pathway development in the schools and are a founding partner of the Savannah Regional Industry Support Enterprise, also known as RISE, whose regional workforce efforts impact key areas like K-12 education, higher education, military, underserved populations, and talent attraction, just to name a few. We just wanted to kind of give a snippet of that because workforce development is becoming a much larger part of what we do on a day-to-day basis. In addition to that, we want to highlight our marketing strategy. Hopefully you guys are following us on Facebook and Instagram, and I know that you all are on our newsletter list because I put you there, so hopefully you saw those. But just wanted to highlight that we've ramped up our local marketing efforts in response to feedback that we're receiving. Folks are like, we're not really sure what y'all are doing. So we want to put that information out there on a regular basis. So in terms of local marketing, we are working to highlight employees within our existing industries. We want people to be able to know who works at these companies. You know, are they local? Who are they? What do they do? What do they like about working here? That sort of thing. We also feature our existing industry anniversary so that we know, hey, this company's been doing business for this many years. And then again, the quarterly newsletter is new. We've only put one out so far, but the next one comes out in July, so be on the lookout for that. But we just want to keep the community informed and reinforce our reputation as a thriving place to work and invest. So I'll turn it back over to Brant. There you are.
Yep, thanks, Jessica. So, you know, going back to the areas of focus, talking about retention and attraction, I do always want to point out that 70% of all jobs that are created by existing industry, existing companies. That's true of all different counties. So even though the attraction side is the side that probably gets the most attention with ribbon cuttings and things like that, but it just really needs to always be pointed out that 70% of jobs are created by existing industry, and we appreciate that, and that's the reason why we want to work so hard with our existing industry. But going back over to the area of focus of partnership, you know, I think that's one area that we really haven't stressed enough, and so I want to give you some examples of some of the partnerships that we've had with the county, the schools, the cities, the hospital. For example, the bond financing for the Clarence Morgan Gym was handled by the IDA. Donation of property to the Board of Commissioners for the Georgia State Patrol Office years ago. Donation of property to Savannah Tech for the ECCA. Also, the water system and tower infrastructure at Savannah Portside, which was deeded to the Board of Commissioners. Also, the water system and tower infrastructure at Ebenezer, which is deeded to the City of Springfield. And now at Grandview, the water system at Grandview will be deeded to the City of Lincoln once it's built and completed. And then, as everybody knows, we sold our office building in Springfield to Effingham Hospitals for pediatrics. So always want to try to be a good partner in other aspects in addition to retention and expansion. So we appreciate the partnerships, appreciate all the open lines of communication I have with you guys. Product development. As you probably know, we're building a Class A office building down on 21 and Old Augusta Road. You know, we talked about this at a board level and how important it was for, as this county continues to grow, what it deserves Class A office buildings, it deserves Class A industrial buildings, great commercial, it's all coming, but we felt like we need to fill this need. So it's where we're going to move our office. We're going to move it in September. But what I really want to emphasize is our training room is going to seat 90 people. You know, every time we have some type of an event, we're always imposing on the Career Academy or Savannah Tech. This allows us to have a dedicated room, training room, that'll be open for the public to use and for different industries. They want to do some training off-site, want to get out of their existing building. So hope everybody, I'm sure everybody has seen it. We're excited about moving in, and more to come on our office building. So why do we do this? I mean, so why do development authorities exist? Well, it's really about balancing growth. When you think about it, as the county continues to grow residentially, it takes industrial and commercial to help balance that growth. And this allows the counties to provide, high-quality services to the residents while keeping property taxes low. So when you look at the fiscal benefit of industrial growth, I mean, I know you guys have seen this slide before, but I just think every presentation that we give, I always want to emphasize this. So when you look at, so we commissioned Georgia Tech to conduct a study in 2024, and when you look at residential on a per dollar of revenue, as residentials, we use 1.29, right? We use more services as residents than we pay in property taxes. So how do we balance that? You balance it with commercial and industrial. And so as much as, when it comes to warehousing, I mean, these big buildings pay a lot of taxes. They pay a lot of taxes. They don't ask for a lot of services. They don't need a lot of police protection. They don't need fire protection. They're not needing other type of services. And so that's how you keep a good balanced digest. So some of our recent successes, and I'm just pointing out some since Jessica and I have been on board. Just point out, of course, Seiwan and Tongchen, excited about our new Korean companies. And then Sanritsu is a new Japanese company that's located down at Savannah Port Side. And then I won't read them all to you, but as you can see here on the chart, some expansions, some new companies coming in. And then when you look at it by the numbers since 2022, these are just companies that we've been involved in. So there's other ones that have grown. It's just that we have not been involved in. New jobs, 1,750, with a new investment of 800, right around $1 billion, 818. So what does all this mean? What does it mean? And so this slide, next slide, Stephanie. There you go. The industrial sector. So fiscal impacts. So again, going back to residential, if you can see on the slide, the net, it's kind of hard to read, but the top line is net residential. Okay, the gold yellow is industrial, and you see how the industrial is tracking with residential. Again, needing that industrial, you need that industrial growth to help balance the digest, especially when you got a growing community such as Effingham County. And you'll see, in the commercials kind of in the last year tapered off a little bit. Again, that's the reason why it's need to have a strong industrial growth. And then the last slide I want to present to you is a slide about abatements. I know there's always some questions about abatements. So there are 304 industrial pins in Effingham County, 304 industrial pins. Of those, 9 of those pins are under abatement. Or another way of looking at it, there's 18,532 acres of industrial. Of that 18,000, 2,591 are under abatement. Of course, Savannah Gateway is a large industrial tract. It's owned by the Development Authority. It's under abatement. So what does that mean? So when you look at the slide, we have, if my eyes are bad, 86% is not abated. We have 12% of this abated that's expiring in 2030, and only 2% that will be expiring beyond 2030. So that kind of gives you a broad perspective of what the abatements look like. I think there's always questions that some people think that everything we touch is abated, and that's not the case whatsoever. Very little is, and we use with the board's discretion and with their input, we seriously consider every project that comes to us, what it takes to win. Is it something we need? Is it abatement needed? Is it not needed? But I think this slide speaks for itself. With that, I'll turn it over to questions, but I do want to thank board members that are here. Appreciate the support of the board, appreciate the support of you guys in the municipalities. Couldn't do it without you guys. Always want to have an open line of communication. and you can ask me any questions. If we can't answer it in an open forum, we'll answer it at another time. And we do have some good things coming, we just can't talk about tonight, but some good things that'll be coming down our way real soon, real soon.
Cool. Brent, I just have, I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
I'll start. So the IDA, and these are questions that I get from the community a lot. Now, having served on the board, I know, but you're here, so I'll have you speak on it.
Yeah.
The IDA is not involved in every industrial warehouse that is in this county, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Of the 9, you said it was 9 that were under abatement?
There are 7? 9.
9 total?
Yeah, 9,
Okay.
that's right.
So 9 total are under abatement in this county, and they'll be rolling off.
Most of them at the end of 2030. It's kind of like almost like a bell curve.
Gotcha.
We started off, there's a couple abatements, and then as the abatements, as all of them are abated, then it starts dropping back down. We have some that we're going to be burning off pretty soon. But yeah, there's 9 abatements. Going back to your original question, we work with private developers. We work with all the brokers. I mean, it's not as if we're not involved in the deals.
Right.
But
But you're not instigating the deal.
No, for the most part. Now, we get our leads several different ways. I mean, brokers can bring us into a deal, but we have a close relationship with the Department of Economic Development and Georgia Power. If sometimes they are the lead on a project, they'll come to us, and then we'll call the brokers.
Yeah, to help
So
you.
it works both ways, and it works well, but no, we're not, that's not our primary focus. Manufacturing assembly is our primary focus.
That was important, for me to bring you in to have you speak as the horse's mouth. And, the assumption that seems to be is that everything's abated, everything is the IDA's development. That's not a badge that you guys need to wear, nor is it true. So I want to get that out. Another question I've gotten from the general public, and I'm curious about too, is, you have your industrial arm, which is, industrial in your manufacturing. Do you have a commercial charter piece as well to help bring in more commercial to the area?
Well, that's a good question, because our name says Industrial Development Authority. It's because we're a constitutional authority. But we can do a DBA, and I think it's already set up as economic development authorities, which most of them are. So to answer your question, absolutely. We can do that. Our charter will allow that. And if that's something that this community wants us to get involved in, then absolutely. I mean,
I think it's
we're not
something we're
limited by our
missing.
powers.
Yeah, I think it's something we're missing.
Absolutely.
We're getting
Yeah.
the workforce, we're getting the industrial side. People are expecting more amenity-wise or more available to them, and I don't feel like we have anybody out here really championing bringing in those, things as the rooftops develop and it becomes more attractive for commercial people or commercial developers to come in, to offer that up to. So
In my previous experience in economic development, I've done that in the past at other development authorities. I'm sure Jessica has too. It's just a matter of what every community is different, what their needs are, and if that's something, in the powers that development authorities have as a constitutional authority, we have broad powers that could definitely allow us to get into the commercial
great.
arena.
I probably get those questions more than anything, and I know we've discussed commercial several times. We'd really love to see you guys have that arm and somebody focused solely on commercial, if that's possible and within the charter in the future.
We'll definitely talk to the board about it, yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I believe that's all I got. You guys, anything? You?
I don't.
I think the takeaway is the large number that are paying taxes.
Yes.
There's so many people that think that none of the industrial folks are paying, but
Yeah.
to say that 86% are, and by the end of 2030,
2030.
we'll be at 98%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's,
a lot of that time, I know, by talking to everybody, that we were starving for industry when we started doing some abatements. We had nothing in Effingham, so it's,
well, when I started in 2018, I think the only warehouse was the warehouse for Georgia Pacific. I mean, these parks were not even developed, and so a lot's happened, and by no means would I sit up here and take any credit whatsoever. I mean, it was coming one way or the other, but we needed to jumpstart this market.
We needed a
And so
spark.
by offering a couple of abatements, it's caused the other developers to jump in the game too. And so an abatement is an incentive. An incentive means you offer it to incentivize somebody to do something, but when you don't need that incentive anymore, you don't offer that incentive anymore. So,
And you haven't incentivized in quite some time, right? I mean,
no, not warehouse distribution.
yeah.
No,
Right. Those are important facts to get out, so,
absolutely.
great. Thank you, Brent.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if we can move down our agenda to new business and go with the second reading of the budget, please.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 1?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Moving on to item 12, new business. Item number 1, 2025 budget public hearing. Consideration to approve the second reading of the budget ordinance for the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. First reading approved, June 3rd, 2025. Mark?
Thank you. 1 second. Let me just get the presentation pulled up.
Skipping all around this one. Keep me on track, man.
I still gotta drive to Atlanta afterwards. Yeah, try to keep it short and sweet.
You good with moving right on the planning board and no breaking anything?
Yeah, I think it'll be all right.
Okay, sorry about that. So tonight is the second reading and the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget. Since during the first reading, we went through a pretty in-depth dive into the budget, for this one, we're just going to go over the changes that have happened since then. So the general fund changes, we did have, in the first reading budget, we had 2 new school resource officers, so we needed to add the vehicles for those. We made some adjustments to the public engagement services budget for some audio-video equipment. And due to the changes in the capital funds and the timing of those projects, we were able to reduce the transfers from the general fund to those funds. And so the total change to the general fund from the first reading was a reduction of $839,000, mostly related to the capital project timing changes. And this here just shows the first reading in, a list of the general fund departments, and we have the fiscal year 2026 budget first reading column on the left, and on the right, we have the second reading, and we can just see the changes, and we see the few departments that changed, just like we saw on the previous slide. In the special funds, a bit more changes happened in this fund. So there was $220,000 added for the 2 roadside mowing tractors. We had to add the E911 dispatch equipment. It was currently nearing its end of life, and that one was just omitted from the first reading in air. And then the Baker Hill water infrastructure is added in the second reading. And then the negatives down there in SPLOST and T-SPLOST reflect the timing of when those projects are actually going to start having outflows of cash. And so with those changes, we see them listed here and which departments did change. And it was a total net decrease there of $704,000 in the special funds. And then going back to the millage rate that the budget was built around, this is a preliminary rate. It'll be adopted by the board later on at whatever rate the board chooses at that time, but this shows that this will be the 6th fiscal year that the budget has been built around a decreasing millage rate. And this slide here shows the total millage rate that an individual will see on their property tax bill. The largest piece of the pie there, the 16.5 mils, that is the Board of Education millage rate. And the 5.596 in the upper hand corner is the millage rate set by the board for the county M&O.
That's last year,
Yes.
not this year.
And you want to explain this slide?
Yeah, this is my favorite slide. So one of the ways you can really determine how competitive and efficient your tax rate is where you are in comparison to your neighbors. This is every county, within maybe about a 50, 60-mile radius of Effingham, pretty much all the coastal counties as well. And when you look at the countywide operations millage rate, which is the main millage rate that we charge to provide the services, Effingham County, again, with this rollback, is the lowest. And at 5.428, Bryan County always comes in close. They were at 5.9, but you can see how that spread is. That's all because of some hard work, particularly by Mark, and I appreciate the late nights that he puts in to getting this budget completed and balanced, and also to not all to you all for the support, but also to the residents, because one of the reasons that our millage rate is able to stay low is because of the support of the residents in programs like T-SPLOST and SPLOST. And so we have $192 million in capital projects. Actually, that came down a little bit, but it's about $190 million in capital projects this year. And that's pretty phenomenal considering we really have a roughly $53 million when you back out capital cost of an operating budget. The priority was made clear by this board that infrastructure needs to be improved, particularly roads, and the investments that you are all put forth in this budget prove that. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, just quickly, these other counties, how many have T-SPLOST besides this? Curious if there's a correlation.
I think pretty much all of them except for Chatham,
Okay.
if I'm correct.
Okay.
And they all have SPLOST, but just I believe Chatham's the one without the T-SPLOST.
Okay. That's crazy.
And keep in mind too, this complicates things, but we have a lot of the counties around us do not have a floating exemption, which about wipes out about 30 to 40% of our taxable value of primary residences, makes it not subject to property tax. And that we're able, even though we have that floating exemption, while other entities like let's say Bryan and Bullock do not, we're still able to come in lower.
Good deal.
Okay, that concludes the presentation. The one tonight is usually, since we do such a deep dive in the first one, this one's usually short and sweet. We go over the changes. But tonight is the second reading, and it's also the night that the board will vote to adopt the budget ordinance and adopt the budget. And staff recommends the adoption of that.
Very good. Any further questions from anyone? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the second reading as presented.
Second.
All in favor? None opposed, motion carries. Moving back to item number 10, consent agenda. This section shall include all routine items for which there will be no discussion. Should a need arise for debate, the item can be moved to the appropriate area of the agenda. Item number 1 in consent, consideration to approve a contract with the state of Georgia to serve as fiscal agent for Family Connection. That's it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Moving on to unfinished business. Second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Manning Graham to rezone plus or minus 33.5 acres located on Old Augusta Road from AR1 to I1 to allow for industrial uses. Map number 476, parcel number 4E in the 5th District. First reading was approved June 3rd, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 2, is a public hearing. Consideration to approve an application by Caitlin Cavallo for a variance from section 5.1.4 to allow for decrease in the required minimum setbacks for AR1 located at 120 Francis Street, map number 235A, parcel number 45 in the 3rd District. This was postponed from the May 20th, 2025 and June 3rd, 2025 meeting.
How you doing? Hey, Kimberly Barlett, Community Planner. The applicant requests the variance to decrease the required setbacks in AR1 zoning due to an unusual shape of the parcel. The parcel is currently a vacant, non-conforming lot totaling 0.69 acres. The applicant would like to request a variance of 10 feet in the front and 15 feet in the rear of the property line. I've spoken with DPH and they do plan to approve their site plan.
Very good. Does the applicant have anything they wish to add? Not here? Okay. Is there anyone here opposed to this? Being there are none, I'll close the public hearing, entertain a motion.
So like Kimberly said, the applicant did turn in the engineered plans as requested. I had a conversation with environmental health, and it does, the well and septic tank do meet the required setbacks per their requirements. But what I guess what I'm hung up on is it is an irregular shaped lot. The well is on the one of the corners of the lot, and the septic drain field is on the other side, and it is both are close to the property lines. So I don't remember approving anything like this. That is definitely a concern to me. And we have the 1 acre minimum lot, which this lot was created in the early 70s, before we had our zoning ordinances. And it's a variance on the setback, but also felt like it would need to be a variance off the 1 acre minimum lot size if you don't have public water and sewer. But still, with the shape of the lot, I just have still have concerns on the well and drain field being on the very edges of both sides of the lot.
Was there any other input from the Department of Health? I mean,
No,
no
they said
concerns
that.
on their part?
No, he said they do plan to approve it. If we okay the setbacks.
Well, I'll make a motion to deny the request on what I just said.
Second. No second. Motion.
Petitioner is not here. Is the petitioner
No,
here?
I didn't see her presently.
I had some questions, but I can't get them answered, so I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposition? Motion fails. Carries.
Thank you.
That'll skip number 3 down, right? All right. Being that failed, moving on to item number 4. Consideration to approve the second reading to amend section 3.46 accessory dwelling units of the Effingham County Code of Ordinances. First reading approved, June 3rd, 2025. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. All right. I think what... Okay, moving into new business. Item number 2, consideration to approve an intergovernmental agreement between Effingham County and the City of Guyton for maintenance resurfacing roads 2025 for compensation for maintenance of Linton Lane.
Yes, Jonathan Holm, County Engineer for Effingham. Exactly what you said. It's an intergovernmental agreement between Effingham County and the City of Guyton for the resurfacing of Linton Lane. Linton Lane is owned by both the county and by the city, just due to annexation over time. So it makes sense to, just have one contract to do the road, and the amount is $39,987.93. And City of Guyton will have a year to reimburse the county if they approve and we agree. So staff is recommending alternative 1.
It's a great idea. Glad to see them working together. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, consideration to approve an intergovernmental agreement between Effingham County and City of Lincoln for maintenance resurfacing roads 2025 for compensation for maintenance of West 9th Street.
Yep, this is just like the previous one, just with the intermental agreement between Effingham County and City of Rincon. This one is for 9th Street. City of Rincon approached us to ask if we could work together in doing that. The county's got a large volume of roads, and so again, it makes sense to for both municipalities to work together to help get a better deal on getting this resurfaced. We did I didn't mention in the last item, but we do have this contracted, awarded, and approved with McClendon, and this will be taking place in the fall, preferably, although they do have contractually till spring, but they're going to try to get it done before the end of this year.
Great.
So staff is recommending approval, and the amount for this one, just so we've got it, and of course I just lost it. Give me a second. I got carried away in the master transportation plan.
Hmm.
I usually like to print all this stuff out.
But we're not paying it, they are.
That's right, they are paying it. So anyway, staff's recommending approval. Yep.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 4, consideration to approve a warranty deed as submitted by H&H Real Estate Investments Incorporated to accept the right-of-way and roads of Addie Exley Road, Goshen Commercial Park Drive, Cold Brook Court, and Stone Throw Court.
Yeah, so this one, majority of these roads are adjacent to a fire station that the county is currently utilizing, so it makes sense for the county to maintain and maintain the roads, and some of these are you know, are, if the owners wanted to give these over to the county, as well, while we're at it. There are some roads on here that, should have, you know, been done, back in the past, and so trying to clean, some of these road ownership up. So staff is recommending alternative one.
Thank you, Jonathan. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
I just want to thank y'all for the work on that, for Colebrook and the other ones. It's going to help make some people happy, for sure. I've been working on that a long time.
Great.
Yeah, on that one particular, I think we're wanting to move in, within a week or two, so I'm
That'd be
excited to, you know, we get this buttoned up and we can move right on in and take care of it, so.
Got a motion to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. I'm gonna hit the pause button right there before we move into the ordinance. Clint, I want to give you adequate time, just in case there's any discussion. Take 5 minutes and then go into planning. You good with that? I'm gonna roll right into it. Clint, do you think you have adequate time for your ordinance for this? Okay, we'll just keep moving forward then. Item number 5, first reading. Consideration to approve the first reading to amend Part 2, Chapter 36, Article 5, Hazardous Materials of the Effingham County Code of Ordinances.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commission. Really, all this does is currently, if there's a spill, it's required to be reported to EPD, a spill or release of a reportable quantity. However, it's not necessarily required for them to report it to us. All this ordinance does is require them, in addition to reporting to them, to report it to us locally. And should they be found in violation through the magistrate, there could be fines involved, so.
Very good. And who dictates those fines? The magistrate will dictate those fines? Or we're laying it out here, 1,000 for each violation, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I like that one. No questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. Okay. Item number 6, public hearing and approval of resolution 025-018 to transmit the FY 2025 capital improvement element annual update to the Coastal Regional Commission and the Department of Community Affairs for review. Kim?
Thank you. Kimberly Barlett, Community Planner. The CIE is a useful tool that gives our community a clear idea of how and where our impact fees are being used. Staff has updated the fiscal year 2025 financial report and capital improvement element, and we recommend approval of this resolution to transmit the document to the CRC for review. And all our impact fees are down to 0 for this annual update. And once approved, then DCA will review it for adoption.
Very good, thank you. Entertain a motion.
Making a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 7, consideration to approve an application by Jared Osaka, D.R. Horton, for a final plat for Palm Ridge, Phase 1, located on Zittrell Road, zoned R6, map number 352, parcel number 79 in the 1st District.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In order to sell 51 lots of Phase 1 for home construction, the final plat must be approved. And the Board of Commissioners must accept the roads, water, reuse, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure. Effingham County will provide the water and sewer for this development. Both a bond for the water, reuse, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure and paving in Phase 1 has been received, as well as, an infrastructure completion bond, which is 150% of the total cost of the lift station as well. A final inspection was completed on June 2nd, 2025, and the county attorney has reviewed the deed and the infrastructure agreement. Staff does recommend approval of the final plat and acceptance of the roads, water, reuse, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure as identified in the deed.
Thank you, ma'am. No questions, entertain a motion.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Sure.
Earlier today, there was a article going around that was not true. This item here, the next two items, these have already been rezoned. So this is just part of the process for the final plats to be approved. So this is not a new subdivision. This is not new warehousing tonight. This has already been approved. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it looks like the date of sketch plan approval was February 15th, 2023. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
And we don't do sketch plan anymore, do we?
Yeah, no, we do
We
not.
don't, yeah.
With that, I will make a motion that we approve alternative one.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
One opposed, motion carries. Item number 8, consideration to approve an application by MLRE Land Partners Company Incorporated for a final plat for Pine Grove Phase 1, located on Noel C. Conaway Road, zoned R3, map number 376, parcel number 16 in the 1st District.
Yes, sir. So again, Pine Grove Phase 1, it consists of 141 lots. The final plat must be approved, and the Board of Commissioners accept roads, water, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure. Effingham County will provide the water and sewer for this development, and a bond of 10% for the total paving and concrete, sewer, water, and stormwater infrastructure has been received. A final review of the plat has been completed by GIS, and a plat will need to be given to the county that do address the GIS comments. So just so you are aware of that, we do still need that revised plat. The county attorney has reviewed the deed and the infrastructure agreement. Although we are waiting on that plat with those comments addressed, we do recommend approval for the final plat.
Okay, so do we need to name out those conditions in our approval to be met, or leave?
I think, what I think you can say, because it's the signature of the plat, right, not the deed, right?
No, it's just the plat.
Yeah, okay, so, that, we're recommending approval, but withhold the, signature until, the comment from the GIS department is addressed.
Okay, very good. And also, as Jamie noted, this was a sketch plan, and plan approval was November 8th of 2021. Very good. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we make the approval with the comments Tim made.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
None opposed, motion carries. Moving into planning, we're right at 6 o'clock on the nose, look at that. Item number 1 is a public hearing. Consideration to approve an application by Jeffrey Waldor for a conditional use to allow for a daycare in R3 located at 823 Ebenezer Road, map number 446, parcel number 35 in the 5th District.
Thank you. Kimberly Barlett, Community Planner. The applicant requests a conditional use for a daycare in R3 zoning. The proposed development will be served by Springfield Water and private septic. The applicant proposes the daycare facility is for about 60 children ages 0 to 4. The proposed building is 4,000 square feet. Staff has reviewed the application, and the application is complete with the following conditions. The applicant shall obtain and keep in good standing an Effingham County business license. A site plan shall be approved by the Board of Commissioners, and any encroachment onto Ebenezer Road shall be permitted through GDOT.
Thank you, ma'am. The property directly adjacent, this is right next to Cobbleton, right? And
Yeah.
the property adjacent to it is residential as well. Very good. Okay. If the applicant is here, if they have anything they want to add, please come forward. Applicants, sorry.
How y'all
Please state
doing?
your name for the record.
I'm Jeffrey Waldauer, this is my wife Destiny. The property is currently zoned for a townhome project. We have reached out and spoke to a lot of the neighbors that are, adjoin the property. Everyone seems to be in favor of this, definitely in favor of this, versus the townhome project. I'll also add that this is gonna be, from start to finish, it's gonna be a owner-operated, from construction to my wife, who, has a background in childcare. She's a teacher now, so, just, I think that's
Good.
it.
How many children do you look at occupying? 16? Okay. Very good. You guys have any questions for them? No? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who opposes? Please come forward. Being there are none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I think this is a great use for the property, certainly compared to the multifamily, that could have been. So, with that, I'm gonna make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 2, second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Jeffrey Waldauer for conditional use to allow for a daycare in R3 located at 823 Ebenezer Road, map number 446, parcel number 35 in the 5th District.
Make a motion to approve second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 3 is public hearing, consideration to approve an application by Dora Hamilton for a variance from section 3.31 to allow for a decrease in accessory structure setbacks in R1, located at 159 Huger Street, map number 466A, parcel number 212 in the 2nd District.
Thank you. Kimberly Barlett, Community Planner. The applicant is requesting a variance for a decrease in accessory structure setbacks. The applicant is located within the Goshen Villa subdivision. The property is currently located on a 1.05 acre lot zoned R1, and it is a narrow lot. Currently, the ordinance enforces section 3.31, which allows an accessory structure to be 5 feet from property lines. The applicant intends to construct a carport. The carport will be attached to the house, but it will be approximately 1 to 1.5 feet from the property line, which require a variance of about 4 feet. Staff has reviewed the application and it is complete.
Thank you. If the applicant has anything they would like to add, please come forward. Hi.
Dory Hamilton. I inherited, or I was gifted a classic car that is required to stay in my garage. Now I need a place to park my car, and I want to keep it protected from the elements, just like I did with the garage. So I've spoken to my neighbor that lives right next door, and he has no problem with it.
Right. Well, thank you for doing your due diligence. Anyone else? Questions from Ms. Hamilton?
Looks, if there's nobody opposing, or if you need some help driving the car, well,
Yeah.
I can do
Yeah,
that.
what kind of car is it?
63 Impala.
Nice. Nice. Very good. Being a public hearing, is there anyone here opposed? Being there are none, I'll close the public hearing. Now entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the variance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 4, second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Dora Hamilton for a variance from section 3.3.1 to allow for a decrease in accessory structure setbacks in R1, located at 159 Huger Street, map number 466A, parcel number 212 in the 2nd District. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 5 is a public hearing, consideration to approve an application by Gilvin and Shannon Vallum for conditional use to allow for an agritourism business located at 1383 George Hurst Road, map number 223, parcel number 8 in the 3rd District.
Thank you. Kimberly Barlett, Community Planner. The purpose of this agritourism is the Hope Ranch Zoo. This facility will include educational tours, hands-on animal encounters, and interactive farm-based learning activities for the public. There will be designated parking areas to accommodate approximately 150 standard parking spaces, including 2 van ADA spaces compliant with the county and federal requirements. The adjacent properties are primarily zoned as AR1, with surrounding areas being used for farming, timber, or residential purposes. Approximately 10 acres of the 30 acres will be used for the agritourism purposes, including animal enclosures, barns, arena space, a gift shop, and parking for guests. All operations will be conducted during reasonable daytime hours, and buffers such as fencing and natural landscaping will be used to maintain privacy. The zoo is open to the public 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The first tour begins at 10 a.m. and the last tour starts at 4 p.m. Tour hours are adjusted seasonally for daylight savings or for special events. The applicant anticipates an average of 50 to 75 visits per day, with higher numbers during weekends and holidays. Staff has reviewed the application and is complete with the following stipulations. The applicant shall obtain and keep in good standing an Effingham County occupational tax certificate. The applicant shall obtain and maintain the required USDA license and Georgia Game and Wildlife license. And 3, to follow all applicable requirements of Chapter 10 animals.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Please come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening. Just state your name for record, please.
My name is Shannon, and this is Javon Bala, my husband.
Very good. So tell us about your zoo.
About the zoo. This is a dream that this man has had for quite a while, and we started out with birds and more birds, and then it started acquiring some of the exotic animals, and we are licensed by USDA and Georgia Game and Wildlife. We're inspected once a year with both of those organizations, and I'd like to say that we've passed both years that we have been inspected.
Okay. Tell me what's exotic.
Exotic is camels, ostriches, emus, zebras, monkeys, lemurs.
Anything that can eat me,
capybara.
possibly?
Not really, but you know, you never know. No, not really. Nothing is inherently dangerous to the public. Everyone is in locked kennels. I'm fixing to grab my arm because we keep keys on our hands all the time. We have now uniform locked. We were part of the Great Escape we talked about that. We're fined by Georgia Game and Wildlife, and we have been inspected previously and made sure that everything was up to par. We do guided educational tours. The facility is with Effingham County, of course, Bullitt County, Bryan County. We've not done any advertising. We've kept it very kind of low key, but it's been completely by all word of mouth. It is very important to us that we are educating our children. Our children are on these games 24/7, it seems like, and getting them out. A lot of our Girl Scouts have done enrichment. All of our animals have to including our birds as well as our mammals, have to have enrichment on a daily basis, and they're on a routine basis. So our Girl Scouts have been very big help, our Boy Scouts. A lot of other different organizations have come to help us to maintain the enrichment that we have to provide for these animals every day. Like I said, on a weekly basis, on a rotation.
Do you have any plans to house anything that would potentially eat me or the neighbor?
Not at the
I
moment.
just want to get that out there. Okay.
No, sir. We all of our enclosures are most of the enclosures are metal. They've been reinforced. They have reinforced wiring. Again, we changed after the Great Escape. We changed to universal locks for everyone. One key. We are on constant, continual checking. I do checks my own self personally in the morning and in the afternoon, and we're constantly going through all day long checking, making sure.
I'm assuming the Great Escape was when the primates got out recently?
2 of them, yes, sir.
Okay, great.
You don't have any snakes?
We do have snakes. USDA does not regulate our snakes, nor does Georgia Game and Wildlife. We do only have animals that are native to Georgia if they are deemed non-releasable. I would also like to say that Georgia DNR has just recently reached out to us and asked us to help with capturing an African serval down in Reidsville, Georgia. We have not captured that animal as of yet, but we are trying actively and staying in contact with Georgia DNR. So I say it's very nice to be on their team, not their target anymore.
Sure.
They do know that our facility is well capable of keeping that African several if we do indeed catch the cat.
Awesome, thank you. Jamie, this is yours. You have any questions?
Anybody against?
I don't know if you have any questions for them.
Oh, no, I don't have any questions.
I'm just curious
I talked to Shannon
what gave you
earlier.
the passion to do this? This has been a lifelong dream. I'd be interested in what motivated you to do it.
There's your answer.
You got to talk now, sir.
That's right.
That's right.
What made you do this? Why?
This is start in Brazil, I'm from Brazil. And this is my dream there, man. I don't have condition for I can have this kind of dream over here. And he started the birds in a couple months. Shanna go over there, see I have a camel in the yard, I have zebra, in a couple years I have a lot of animals. One monk escape, I need to do get all the license for it, the yard help me, ask me, see open for public too. This is the dream.
Part of the condition with USDA, you either have to be an exhibitor or you have to be a breeder, and we're not breeders. We do naturally have babies every year, and now that we are what we are now, the facility that we are now, if we have animals that have babies on a regular basis, we can actually trade out with other zoos. But every animal that goes across state lines has to be super documented. If it goes to my facility to your facility, everything has to be documented, and if they're subject to come in at any time.
And that's
So
all regulated by?
That is all regulated by USDA and Georgia Game.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in the beginning, USDA did not regulate the birds. They only regulated the mammals. But as of this last year of 2024, of August of 2024, they started regulating, August of 2023 through 2024, they started regulating the birds as well. So that just means that all birds have to have the same care and facilities that the mammals do.
Very good. Well, I saw the movie.
It's exactly
And it's
like
going to be
the zoo.
rough in the middle, but everything will be okay. So,
We bought a zoo.
very good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here opposed? Please come forward.
Jimmy Blakey, 135 Magnolia Drive. I don't oppose it, but I'm just wondering, does the county require a liable insurance policy for something like this? If someone's hurt on that property or hurt by one of the animals?
Sure. I'll allow her to speak to that. Yes, ma'am, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you.
I've got grandchildren, might go there.
Well, nothing's going to eat you, I heard, so I asked that.
Maybe the
Better
snake.
watch them.
Yeah.
Come to the microphone.
Yeah.
I said you need to watch them then.
Anyone else here? Being there are none, I'll close the public hearing and open it for discussion.
I'll just say that I've got quite a few texts in support of this. I had no idea, and
I did too.
all my interaction has been in support. So
Yeah,
I'm
mine were
surprised.
just what I asked, if it could eat me or anything else. Not that I taste good or anything, but anything that would potentially bite and
Right.
get away and hunt
Yeah.
me. So
Well,
that
that's
was
my
it.
snake
So,
question. But
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize my older son, had already been out there and visited. We talked over the weekend about it. Said he really enjoyed it. I think it's really good for the community. Like she says, this offers a different opportunity for kids to engage with wildlife. They're regulated by USDA, also state agency as well. They're going to consistently have the public in there, so obviously they're going to have to keep everything up in good working order. With that being said, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. One opposed, motion carries. Item number 6, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Gilvin and Shannon Vallum for conditional use to allow for an agritourism business located at 1383 George Hurst Road, map number 223, parcel number 8 in the 3rd District.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Very good. All right. Mr. Deloach has a travel to Atlanta tonight, so we're just gonna power on through. I'm gonna pick up on item number 10 here. And,
Or is it 9?
which one you got, item 10? Or
I think
9,
it-
sorry,
it's-
9.
I think it's 9.
Yeah, 9. About to skip you, Chad.
Yeah, he did actually.
Item number 9, consideration to approve an application by Chad Zitrower, Kern and Company LLC for a site plan for Northgate Phase 2 located on Old Augusta Road, zoned I-1, map number 486, parcel number 2 in the 5th District.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So the proposed site plan is specifically for buildings 5 and 6, and those are the two buildings there that are, as you can see, they have the purple around them on the screen. In 2021, a DRI, or Development of Regional Impact Review, was completed for this site as a whole. And along with that, of course, the first phase was completed. The Army Corps of Engineers wetland permit has been received and is in your packet with your application. The proposed site plan adheres to the conditions placed on the original sketch plan at the time for the Northgate development, to include that a 300-foot buffer bordering the adjacent R3 multifamily district to the south, a 25-foot buffer along Old Augusta Road, and zero-foot buffers along boundaries with adjacent industrial zone parcels as well as state-owned land, and then 100-foot buffers along the boundary with parcels to the south in Chatham County. The TIA was completed with Phase 1, so that is done, and staff does recommend alternative 1, which is to approve the site plan for Northgate Phase 2.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Gotcha. Looking for the item. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item number 10, first reading. Consideration to approve the first reading to amend Part 2, Official Code, Chapter 66, Section 66.33, Waste Disposal, General, and Section 66-37, Regulation of Solid Waste Collection Practices in Carts, Containers, Dumpsters, and Receptacles of the Effingham County Code of Ordinance. Griffin?
Good evening. Griffin Kosheniewski, Solid Waste Coordinator. Should I elaborate about what it means?
Yes, sir, please.
Apologies. So it's kind of a two-part thing. The first section described is ordinance revision to add a couple items. These are common complaints that code enforcement and the sanitation department receives related to basically keeping up with residential collection carts. The second section is to clarify the relationship between the residential collection stream and commercial and nonprofit units.
Okay. If you could elaborate on Part 1, the common
Sure.
complaints, sure.
The item 4, I guess you'd say, and 5 do kind of similar things. The first is that you would need permission from a property owner to dispose of something in their container. It's surprisingly common that people dump things in their neighbor's container, which might not sound like a problem, but it can be depending on what it is, especially if it's something that that they're not supposed to be thrown away. Currently, there's not really something that describes what to do in those situations, so this would give us and code enforcement something to do when things like that happen. 5 is describing that it would be an ordinance violation to be using or in possession of a cart that you're not supposed to have, which is another common one, people stealing their neighbors' carts.
Very good. Thanks, sir.
The the following one, like I said, is to clarify a little bit about the relationship between carts and commercial and non-commercial, nonprofit type properties.
Very good. 100 pounds of waste per week for use of 9 gallons on solid. Okay, very good. Thanks, sir. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Griffin.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 11, consideration to approve a proposal from Moffitt Nickel for professional engineering, surveying, and environmental services for the Blue Jay Road corridor improvements, including turn lanes and shared use path. Anyone?
Hey, Danielle Carver, Procurement and Contracts Manager. So we're bringing forward a design proposal for turn lanes and a shared use path along Blue Jay Road, stretching about 8 miles from Sand Hill Road to Effingham Parkway. The improvements include turn lanes at 4 key intersections, including Emerald Crossing, Greystone Drive, Horsepen Road, and Oak Lawn Drive. A 10-foot wide shared use path connecting to existing trails, and a full topographic and property surveys, environmental permitting, and final construction plans. So staff recommends alternative 1.
Thank you, ma'am. No questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I've got to recuse myself on the next 3 items due to a banking relationship. And Madam Clerk, with that being said, can I leave? Is there any other business that I would need to be present for? Because I will go to Atlanta. Okay. All right. Y'all have a good evening.
Safe travels, brother.
Thank you.
Item number 12, consideration to approve amendment number 5, the extension of the master services agreement for professional services for EOM operations.
This is the annual renewal of our master agreement with EOM Operations for professional engineering services tied to public works. This agreement helps us maintain continuity for ongoing and future engineering support, no disruptions, no delays. Individual task orders under this agreement will still come back to the board for separate approval. Amendment number 5 to the EOM Master Service Agreement simply extends the agreement through June the 30th, 2026, with no changes to the existing scope, rates, or terms. So staff recommends alternative 1.
Great. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry y'all were talking in unison.
Mm-hmm.
Item number 13, consideration to approve task order number 11 with EOM Operations under the Master Services Agreement for professional services related to stormwater compliance, watershed monitoring, and civil site plan review.
This item is for approval of task order 11 with EOM Operations under the existing master service agreement. So it covers 3 primary services. It covers the MS4 compliance, including public education, inspections, and preparation of the county's annual stormwater report, long-term watershed monitoring to meet EPD reporting requirements, and civil state plan review and general engineering support as needed. So progress reports will be provided monthly, and this task order ensures that we stay in compliance with state requirements and keep development reviews moving efficiently. So staff recommends alternative 1.
Thank you, ma'am. No questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, consideration to approve amendment number 8 to the EOM Operations contract to perform public works related tasks for fiscal year 2026.
Yes, sir. This amendment continues EOM's contract for Public Works Operations Management for fiscal year 2026 with a few key updates. So it adjusts operating limits and adds monthly budget tracking for better accountability. It also increases the base fee to reflect fiscal year 2026 budget allocations. It updates the contract to include additional county-owned lift stations now under EOM's management, and it authorizes EOM to perform asphalt crack sealing using county equipment at a rate of $1,000 per day for two-person crew. So staff recommends alternative one.
Thank you, ma'am. If no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 13, reports from commissioners and administrative staff. Tim, start with you.
Sure. I do have a need for a quick executive session, just to update you all on some things in the last month. But I wanted to give you an update on two particular projects that I know are of interest, and they're right next to each other. The first being Baker Park. I know there's been a lot of questions as to when that's going to get completed and reopened. The contract has it to be completed in mid-November. But their most recent report to us is that they are ahead of schedule. So, which is good because most of our projects are not ahead of schedule because of all this rain. So hopefully we may be able to see something.
So don't give a date, don't jinx it.
Yeah, potentially in the fall. The other I wanted to bring up, actually two others I wanted to bring up, was the traffic light on McCall in 21. That has been a frustration because of the rain. They bored all the holes, but they cannot get a period of dry period to get those free of water. So that's been holding it up. They were given a 15-day extension, which would bring them into the beginning of August if needed. But they know that as soon as they get dry weather, they can just go full steam ahead. They're not waiting on anything other than that.
Georgia Power doing that?
What's that?
Is Georgia Power doing that?
No, that is for the poles for our.
Oh, for our piece, okay.
For the light poles. And lastly, by the end of the month, we should be going out to bid on a 4-park package. We're kind of waiting to see if we were going to make it 3 or 4, but we're going to make it 4. We've got the plans finally wrapping up. And that would be Clio to include some renovations in the Clio Community Center, as well as full renovations of the park. Some minor work with regards to the fields and restrooms and playgrounds at 119, Pinora Park, and Meldrum Park. Meldrum, we've got the playground equipment in there already. It's already being used, but I do want to have a ribbon cutting on that, similar to what we did at Sand Hill. Just the kids and family loved it. We had the Kona ice and giveaways there. So we are working on that, as well as working on grand openings for this facility. We're waiting for some signage to get wrapped up. And the Emergency Operations Center. So all that's essentially complete with the exception of signage.
Okay, so Clio was Fair Road was one.
That's right.
And what's the 119?
119 is in back of the annex in the library, the old academy.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yep. And that's all I got.
All right, I'm going to start opposite end this time. Mr. Keeper?
Me?
Thought you
No, huh?
You thought she was going to be last.
I did. I was waiting. I appreciate Jonathan responding with some drainage issues. I know, what was it, Sunday was just torrential, and I know everything's soaked, but it's just a good opportunity to at least see what the problems are. So I'm trying to get those in line. So appreciate it. Did we get that tree, by the way? I didn't make it over that direction.
We put the ticket in, and my understanding is they went out there. Do you know, Josh, or no? On Long Bridge?
Long Pond?
Long Pond?
Okay,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
okay.
I just didn't get that direction today to confirm. Everything's saturated, it's just.
All right. Commissioner Burdette. go ahead.
I do want to get an update on the code enforcement issues we have. I know there's one on Magnolia, and the one on Goshen.
And if they're not here, I don't see her here, but I can give you kind of the updates on what I know on them. Magnolia, there was, I believe he's gotten his permit now. He was building with a facility without a permit, a pole barn. That he's come into compliance, and because there was a code enforcement action, there's a penalty involved in that, a financial penalty involved in that. The case on, my understanding is the truck with the trailer got towed there. They pulled this to the residential lot. Code enforcement went out there. They pulled the trailer out, and they were told, obviously you can have cabs there, but you can't have the trailers there. So hopefully they've stayed in compliance. I have not heard complaints since then. The last one was on Golden. They are in the process of putting up the fence.
Okay.
Because that was a condition of the rezoning.
Now, as far as the business portion on Magnolia, they're not allowed to operate, right?
I think
Operating a construction business on it, on Magnolia?
do you know, do they have a conditional permit or something there? Or
I think they were gonna apply.
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I just know about the issue with the permit, the
barn.
building permit, and that was resolved. But I'll get back to you to see if they have any sort of conditional permit or not on there.
Okay, okay. That's got a few different things, but I'll be quick. Met with Jonathan, the county engineer today. Went through a lot of stuff, and I did notice, and Chelsea, this may be a question for you. Our sidewalk ordinance, does it allow to be on one side and not the other? How does that?
The old one did.
I see.
And so our current updated sidewalk ordinance, so depending on when the site plan was approved, the current ordinance requires it on both sides.
Okay.
But
There are homes on that side, right?
What?
Only if there are homes on that side, right?
That's correct,
Yeah.
right. It has to be in front of a residence, yeah.
Well, I might want to check it into New Haven, because I only saw them on one side, and I'm pretty sure we approved the site, not the site plan, but the final plat.
That's a PD.
That's PD, okay. So
yeah,
that does not
and-
apply to a PD?
Well, they have their own rules, and that's a PD that was rather old. So I can dig into, see what their rules are within that PD, to see if it requires it on both sides.
Okay, yeah, I've got some concerns on that plat as well, but as Jonathan and I were talking, it'd be great to have a final plat actually be final before it comes to the board, meaning all the staff changes and everything are in there. Where we don't get blindsided with something on a final plat that we're unaware of.
Okay.
Like, they're not putting sidewalks and stuff like that on a final plat a lot of times. We're just getting like a basic thing. I'd like to see us have really what we're gonna see and what the constituents are gonna see when it gets approved, rather than things get added along and along. Let's have something that we can count on.
I can see if we can update the ordinance just to include maybe some crosscuts on roads and sidewalks, so that you get a better visual of because a lot of times with all of the lines and the borders, the right-of-way lines, the utilities, it's really tough to understand what's actually going in
Layers
there.
out in cab without a problem.
Yeah, just be able to do something. We were looking at some neighborhoods today, and sidewalks would go and just stop for no reason, and then pick up 50 yards down the road at another part of the neighborhood. Just.
And that is something that we're actually talking about in the steering committee.
Yeah.
And it's because if you've got situations where a parcel is not going to be built upon, right? Generally, the sidewalk is being put in when the house is put in. And so we have to put some consideration in there that all gaps have to be closed
Yeah, that'd be good.
by the developer or by the property owner.
The other thing we can talk about, but if y'all would be on the lookout for some land around D2?
We
For
are-
some fields or for some rec or?
We are actively looking at
I even look myself.
three options out there.
Everybody wants to sell giant
it's
pieces
tough.
of land instead
Yeah.
of. How much do you need? Gosh, a pocket park, you could do what, 10 acres?
Yeah, and so so even less, right? We are looking at, we still have the one on the board, I know it's on the border of District 1 and 2 on 30. That'll be a nice little pocket park.
Is that gonna happen? That's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
it looks like it's gonna happen. And I'm trying to think of, and then we've got a couple of other properties that we're kind of poking around on. I have a meeting on one, I think this week, if it was firmed up.
Thank you.
It's been a challenge in D5 also, finding.
Can I make a comment about that 103?
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Jimmy Blakey, Magnolia Drive. That fella, they parking low boys in the middle of the road and loading and unloading equipment. Is he gonna be allowed to continue to run that equipment rental business there and have low boys parked in the road and loading equipment? I mean, that's an eyesore to the community. That's AR1, AR2. Is he going to be allowed to do this?
I do, and I can find out for you, sir. The only thing I knew about was the building that was being built without a permit. So let me find out what's going on. If he's operating a business there without a license, then that simply gets shut down.
If you get your phone number to the lady in white right there behind the, and somebody will follow up with you tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Somebody will follow up with you tomorrow on, making sure. Somebody will follow up with you tomorrow with a phone call concerning the business operation side. That's what is a little bit of a gray area right now. Tim, is that correct?
That's right.
As to where we are with that. But yes, it is a concern, and I agree with you.
But even if they can operate a business, they can't continuously load and unload.
Yeah,
on
they
account
can't
of
use
public
the
area.
right of way, exactly.
Well, the type
That
of
would have
business
to stop
is,
anyway.
it
I know
warrants
nothing
doing
about
that.
it.
Yeah,
so
well,
probably shouldn't chime in.
Well, I think from what I understand, he wants to apply for a conditional use, but he doesn't have that currently. If he doesn't have that, shouldn't be operating.
Yeah, I went by Mr. Blakely's house. He's generous enough to give me some corn. Thank you, sir. Worked out good for the Low Country Bowl.
Me too.
That, there's actual tractor tire prints on his driveway where they've been unloading and loading, and, the weight of that stuff could potentially tear his, culvert area up over there as well. And it just looks bad all the way around, so. Great.
I hope I don't get burned out over this.
Well, don't tell everybody you have the prettiest yard on the road, because you do. So.
You
done,
You
Roger?
done?
Yes, sir.
I have just had a quick question. I've had a couple people ask me at the roundabout at 17 and Blue Jay at the Dollar General, those retention ponds that are out there. I guess I don't know if we regulate that or not, but they are literally growing up with trees. I mean, I don't know if they function. Do we have any authority to make them clean that up or make sure those are functioning in any way?
Do you think they're in the GDOT right away?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, there's no maintenance to it.
Let
I
us
mean,
do
it's
some
just like
research on it. If they're in any sort of right of way, in GDOT, and they're not doing anything, we can go in there and clean them up just for the sake of cleaning them up, or if they're not willing to get out there quick enough. But we can find out. They have to maintain their detention ponds, whoever it is, simply because they're part of the drainage system.
Well,
So
yeah.
we can go out there and inspect them and tell them what
Needs
they
to be
have to
taken a
do.
look at. I mean, there's literally trees. I mean, it's growing up pretty thick and.
Okay.
I have one more question if I could.
Nope,
You-
you're
you
done.
I'm done.
Nope, that was it, Roger.
Right.
No.
Trees down in people's yards. Do we have any kind of mechanism to help people that really can't afford to come in and take down a big leaning pine tree? I've seen several homes that have them.
There were
There's some groups,
local-
I use it after the storm, some church
I thought some
groups that
church
I
groups.
hooked up and.
I'd love to help some people out if there's a way we could do that. And they're so large, you couldn't do them by yourself. You'd need somebody. And some are actually over some power lines and leaning on another tree and.
Well, in those cases, we can, if it's in the right of way, we can
They're
go.
not. It just kind of leans into the
yeah.
right of way. But can we classify that if it's leaning into the right of way?
Jonathan, what do you think?
Say the question again, I'm sorry. I was
Uh,
looking at
If
the-
we have a tree down from the
If it's
storm we
leaning
had.
into the right of way with the threat of falling.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah, I think-
there's one right there outside of our neighborhood, Jonathan, that is a hard leaner. I know that's the state route.
State route, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's one on the
I would say we
phone lines on Old Augusta as well still.
play both sides of that coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's. if
This
it's
looks like a
landing
danger.
right away,
Speak into the microphone.
State your name for the record, sir, please. Thank you.
Jonathan Holm, County Engineer for Effingham.
Thank you.
Yeah, if it's in the right of way, my opinion is, especially if looks like it's a safety hazard, I think that we have full rights to
Yeah.
cut the tree.
There's not a lot. There's a few of them where if there's a way we could help them out, or I know we got some funding for that in the past, but I don't know what, start getting on people's property is a different animal, but.
Yeah, I think what we do is we put it in our 311 system, engage Effingham, and
Okay.
we'll get some work tickets, assigned to them and get it knocked out.
You stole my promotion thunder. I was about to say I was gonna
311.
drop some pins in our
You can do that
Engage
by
Effingham
phone,
app.
too, right?
Mr. Chairman, would you
Eventually,
explain what
we are working on
Engage
it.
Effingham is for our constituents?
Surely. Thank you, Jonathan. The Engage Effingham app available on the iOS and Android platforms as well is our platform for reporting. So you'll be able to generate tickets. There's a list of items that you can go for, and it's expanding, just as we saw now with leaning trees. So I implore our residents to begin to use it. It adds a layer of accountability, so you're able to see ticket generation, where it's at in the process up to conclusion. I know a lot of times calling the county, I used to call myself, you don't know who to talk to. This kind of gets you to the right person right away. So there we are with that. And I don't have anything. Madam Clerk, anything from you?
Anything I have, I will email it to you. Thank you, kind sir.
Perfect. County Attorney, anything? Good.
Executive
Any-
session.
Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, property, and pending litigation.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries.